Hey there, YouTube land. Big Dave here. Um, so I got a question on my other channel, and it was a great question. So I figured I'd make a quick video, and it was from Janine, and I appreciate the contact and asking this question because it does happen on some of the Zebcos, and I've been getting so many questions on these Zebcos. It's great to talk to everybody too. So the first thing is if the line gets hung up and it doesn't want to cast out anymore, it spins underneath the casting disc. And this can happen, and it does happen occasionally. It doesn't happen too often, but especially if the line is older and it has more coil to it, it has a tendency every once in a while to get underneath the cap. So I'm using here, the user has a 733. And I guess, and this is a 733 but platinum. So there's an extra step in taking the cover off, and that's that you have to push this button. Now, your reel may not have this button, it's only on the platinum. So you push the button, and you go counterclockwise and remove the cap. Okay, and now you have the casting disc. And all you really need to do is, here's the handle, is like, put your thumb or whatever behind the handle, hold the whole reel, and then you're just going to pop this disc. Try not to squeeze onto the pins. Go into another place and just go counterclockwise, backwards, and you're going to hear it pop. Now, actually, this one came off because I have it oiled, so it came off easy. Okay, but sometimes they're stuck, and you got to go a little more forcefully in reverse. And then underneath is this. And what happens is the line. Here's my line. What happens is the line ends up wrapping itself, I'm going to try to show you, around this. And so when you take it off, it'll be wrapped onto around here. And as far as it can go, reach up into the threads. All right, now, sometimes if there's still a lot of line left, it can be tight. So you'll feel it resisting. It doesn't want to turn because it's still wrapped around. So you kind of have to just go carefully, reverse, because sometimes it can get hung up into these clips. But I honestly have never found that it breaks anything. You just have to kind of go backwards. Sometimes it's also better if you don't have a whole lot of line to go, is if you cut the line off on here and just do it that way, and don't worry about that extra line and just start using the new line from here. Because another thing that happens is when the line gets twisted around here, sometimes it gets damaged. So it might have nicks in it, which could break. Doesn't mean it will. I mean, I've used it both ways after getting stuck. And another time this happens is if the line bunches up on the inside and there's too much line. Like in this reel right now, I was over generous in filling it with line, so there's too much line in here. So before the next time I use this, I'll actually pull some line off of here and make it less. You don't really want to go up to the top of the spool on these. Now, if you wind the spools like I do, I take the spool off and I wind it by hand so that it's nice and layered before I put it on. Sometimes it's okay when you first put it on, but then you have to use it a couple times in the field. It bulks up and then it gets up to the top here, Well, anyway, so that's it. And another little hint while I'm talking about this is if you look at the drag, right, on these Zebcos, don't make your drag too tight, because like I got a message from somebody, they broke their reel or whatever. The drag on a Zebco really should only be like medium. It's meant to slip. I've had huge fish. I'm talking about 15-pound fish, 14-pound fish on smaller Zebco. So it's a huge fish for that size Zebco. All right, I'm not talking about tuna. you know, or swordfish. I'm talking about in a lake or a pond or whatever. You know, I've had you know, 13, 15 pound carp and other stuff unexpectedly on a smaller Zebco, even with 8 pound line, and I didn't lose those fish because I only have the drag set medium. It's meant to pull out. If you set it too tight, you can actually bend this. If there's no give, you know, it's going to be yanking on these pins and yanking on the cap, and that's when you break the cap or break the pins. The reel is meant to slip, but don't make it too loose because then you don't have any control over the fish. You just keep it like medium snug. There should be a moderate resistance when you pull the line out. That's all I can tell you, you know, and you'll have less problems and less things broken. And you can, if you have a reel that you really love and all that stuff, you can get these pieces right from Zebco if they're not discontinued. Like these caps are still available. This is the spinning cap. So if the rest of the reel, especially a reel like this one, this is a good reel. It has a number of bearings in it, and it's very durable. You know, this is a 733. I have a 33, the same as this. This is a really strong, durable reel, and you can even use this in salt water. This one, as long as you rinse it out, I've used this one in salt water, and look, it doesn't even have any corrosion. So I don't really know what's inside this one. Some of the newer ones, if they're not meant for salt water, they'll rust and corrode right away on the inside. Now they don't make this anymore, so you'd have to either buy it used, or on eBay, whatever, or the new ones are the 33 Max. Zebco 33 Max. I have a couple of those, and I've used them for big carp, catfish. They come with 20-pound line. You might want to reduce the line when you change your line change eventually. 10 to 15-pound line is really enough on there. You don't necessarily need that 20-pound. The 15 casts smoother, but you have to try it out. You know, line, you can go buy line in Walmart or whatever. It's cheap. You know, $2 now. Some of the stuff is on sale. You can buy, you know, rolls of 15-pound line or whatever. You just try it out. If you don't like the 15-pound line, or you don't think it's going to work for you, and go back to the 20. If you're in the river, you might want to stay with the 20, because sometimes you have more obstacles or rocks or things, and the 15 could be questionable on certain things. But years ago, when the surf rods, I mean, before there was braid, 15 was the common denominator to cast far in the surf, and still, you did lose fish, but I don't know. It was maybe because it had more stretch, and that's one of the disadvantages of mono is too much stretch. But I caught almost a 3-foot striper last year on a Zebco. What was that? 833. I think I was. I wasn't expecting that either, you know. That's how it happens. You're fishing and all, you don't expect it, and then you have some kind of big fish. So anyway, I hope this helps. And then when you're done, you know, what I always try to do is put a little drop of Vaseline or something on here before you put this back on. And then the next time you have to take it off, and don't over tighten it, just snug it up. It's good. That's perfect. And then you put the cap back on. Okay, have a good day. Bye-bye.